Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Leadership Heart Podcast with Sandra J. Horton, the Growth Catalyst.
Hello, everyone. Wow, it's an awesome Friday. And look what's behind me. It's going to be one of those beautiful, inspiring moments on the Leadership Heart Podcast. It's taking in the beauty. It's being creative. It's about sharing ourselves. It's so much more. I'm so inspired by the opportunity to have this amazing, exceptional guest today. My beautiful friend, Traci Reynolds. Thank you so much, Trace. Come on up. I'm going to bring you up. There you are. Hello, beautiful friend. Oh, Trace, this is such an honor for me to have you on this beautiful show. And thank you for coming. And just want to stop. And as I always say, breathe in and smell these beautiful flowers. Smell the roses, as we say, in this beautiful world that we live in. So thank you for being here. Not only are you this most beautiful heart-centered leader that I'm so inspired to be with, but you have been in this beautiful floral business for over 20 some years. You are an award-winning, most #1 preferred florist in downtown Toronto. You're a Canadian like me. Thank you. And you're nominated again. You are exceptional as an entrepreneur. And so I'm just so delighted to dive in around creativity and about flowers and what do flowers represent and a little bit about your beautiful story. So, as we begin, you are the beautiful owner of Fern Toronto, which is right downtown, right in the beaches area, if I understand beautifully and correctly. Sorry, my sheets are flying. I got the fan going. It's so hot today. So, this is a great opportunity. Why don't we dive in? And I would love for us to kind of begin at the very beginning. How did you find out that this is your beautiful place, that florals, being a florist was your calling? How did that happen? I'd love to learn. I'm sure people who are tuning into Leadership Heart Podcast want to know, how did you get into this beautiful world? Thanks, Traci.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Sandra. I appreciate it. I love you.
I love you too, my friend. It's always so much fun.
Thank you. Well, there's actually 2 reasons why. First one was by chance. So I actually was working in car sales at a car dealership.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was, it was successful, but I wasn't fulfilled. And I wasn't necessarily searching either, but it was my weekend off and I went to Queens Quay Terminal and
lovely there.
I know. And I came across a flower shop, a little tiny flower shop. And it just hit me. I was in love.
Yeah.
I wanted to be there. I wanted to be a part of it. I had no experience. And I just was in awe. So I left, and on that Monday morning, I sent my resume.
Oh, wow. I love you are a woman of action. That's a bold step. Wow.
Yeah, I wanted to be there. So I sent my resume and I was immediately rejected. But I'm not generally like the aggressive type, but I wanted it so bad that I reached out by phone. I went back to the flower shop multiple times and spoke to one of the owners and said, I have to be here. I want to be here. I'll work for free. No. I got no. And then I just persisted and they finally agreed to give me 2 weeks. So of course I happily said, yes, I'll start tomorrow. And
I'm here. I'm going.
Right.
Oh,
so I went back to my work and I handed in my resignation.
Wow. Talk about a pivot. Okay. A decision was made.
Yeah.
You felt this amazing. What was that like? What was that moment? I mean, you like fundamentally just said, I'm done. I'm going here. I'm following my purpose and my passion.
I knew it. I just trusted my gut and my feeling and my soul. I had never felt like I belonged anywhere like I belonged in that flower shop.
Wow. Well, you
was
belong
powerful.
here. You belong here. You belong sharing who you are and your passion because, you know, I just want to show a few more beautiful creations, like the power of being in alignment with who you are. I want to show some more beautiful flowers and arrangement that Traci has created. So please, you know, make sure you go to Fern Toronto because there's so many exceptional, beautiful arrangements that, you know, you talk about being divinely connected and it's powerful and passionate. Like I was trying to get these on here so you could see them and how beautiful they are and the richness. And hey, my purple nails, you know, I'm all about the color here. I'm going with the vibe. But you know, Trace, we were laughing about them. There's so many different flowers and the name. So what was this one again?
Come on, you remember? No?
I forget. What's it called?
It's a long one, ranunculus.
A ranunculus. So
ranunculus.
You know, the vibrancy, the colors, the shapes, the ranunculus, like flowers have so much meaning to so many people. And so with this beautiful passion and this purpose that you've ignited in your heart, how did you know that you then wanted to, because you're an entrepreneur, you're an amazing businesswoman. What were the steps that you took to kind of move yourself from being an employee to then owning a floral shop, like a very successful one that people, I mean, look at the beautiful arrangements that you create. So what was that process like? What did you do to get yourself into that action?
Yeah, things moved pretty fast. So I did my 2 weeks working for free in that flower shop. And, you know, a few weeks later, I became the manager of that shop. I was there.
Stop right there.
Yeah. Open to close. And I worked there for probably a year and a half. And believe it or not, they fired me.
Why?
They fired me. I mean, there was two reasons. There was two owners. One owner said that the other one felt threatened by me.
So stop right there, Trace, because I don't want to get too deep into that, because you know what's interesting? I would like to offer for this conversation that, you know, in times, us as women particularly, we rise really quickly. Our star, especially if we're aligned in our heart and we feel that passion, people can get kind of intimidated, can't they? I've had that happen to me. Star was always going up, and I've had other people of lesser, they may have been in leadership positions, but they were threatened. So what happened then? So now you've had to pivot and you're looking at yourself, but you still feel that passion. So what did you do? How did you kind of get back in?
You know what? I was still in love with that flower shop. It hit me in the gut hard. But it didn't take long. I was working at another flower shop a week later.
A week later.
In the Beaches where I am now.
Okay.
And I was there for about a year, and I learned some, but I knew there was more for me. I knew it wasn't the place for me. So that was the start of my journey.
Wow. So what I'm saying is, you know, like you listen to your heart. Yeah. And so many, you know, entrepreneurs, there's that point where you have to kind of really start to listen and hone in. Was there anyone else in your life? Because I have found, for me, I've always loved flowers. One of the things that I really always wanted to do, same with my mom, we always wanted to own a floral shop. I love flowers. Like I'm the plant lady. I am in where I am. I have so many baskets. I have so many, you know, beautiful vases. I am the flower lady. But yet I wasn't my passion to do it, but I love doing it, if that makes sense, because it grounds me into Mother Earth. So my mom and my grandma used to beautifully grow gladiolus. And so, you know, I had that as my background of, you know, my matriarchs in my family really loving plants and caring about plants. What was that early, you know, I guess, family situation? Was there something that helped you kind of awaken to that? Was that kind of that seed that was planted?
Yeah, I actually didn't realize until after I was in the floral industry that it was actually my grandmother that inspired me Yeah,
Aw.
and led the way. So as a kid, I was raised by a single mom.
Oh, wow.
And while she was at work in the summers, I would spend the summers with my grandmother. And my grandmother had a beautiful little house in the beaches,
Yeah.
and beautiful gardens. So I used to sit, in the
Oh,
backyard, play in the backyard, and she would tend to her garden. She would nurture her garden. And I didn't realize all those years that actually was the beginning of the inspiration. So
wow.
yeah, my
And
grandma.
I'm loving your grandma because, give hugs to, they're up in, up in our beautiful heavens right
Yeah,
now. But it is
yes.
interesting that, throughout our lives, as we come to know ourselves, we kind of look back, we can reflect back and go, where was this passion generated? How did it show up for
Yeah.
me? And then the interesting part, I can speak for myself as I'm aging. I'm just really shy of 60. So,
Oh,
for me, I'm
I'm
59.
shocked. No.
Thank you, my friend. I love you. Um, there's these moments that we reflect back and we go, okay, creativity was such an integral part of me finding where my destiny was and going through my journey, because creativity, grounding into Mother Earth, grounding in creating, using color and vibrancy or things just to feel alive through flowers has been very inspirational for me to ground myself. So when you're doing your beautiful, your different arrangements, whether it's a bride or for a celebration, a graduation, what do you think about that, maybe can inspire some of the listeners about reaching into your heart and in that creative space? Does that make sense? It's just something
Yeah,
that's kind of coming to me right now.
yeah, absolutely. You know what? It's pretty simple for me. I just love love. I
Oh,
love love.
that's lovely.
So, most people are ordering flowers to send to the recipient because they're wanting to send love, they're wanting to send joy, they're wanting to send a message. And I just, I dig deep with my customers when they phone
Mm.
in and place their order, and I want to know, is without being invasive.
Yeah, exactly. I really need to know now.
Well, I want to know the details because I want to
Yeah.
actually create something that
Mm.
I can express their message with the flowers.
Wow. So do you have
Yeah.
any certain go-to flowers that, represent certain
Oof.
things, like the beautiful ones behind me?
Yeah.
I love tulips. I tend to like tulips and
Yeah.
irises and
Yeah.
um like there's such beauty. Like, is there ones that represent love for you? Obviously the red heart, but or the rose. Like, so give us
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of your inner, workings. What are those inspirations?
Yeah, I think it depends. Well, it depends on the day.
I love that.
Depends on my mood, depends on the
Yeah.
season, because
Yeah.
flowers change seasonally, and so much here in Canada, that
True.
every new season is a whole new selection for me to design with.
Oh,
So yeah, no, it keeps me on my toes. And
that
also
is.
yeah, the interesting thing
Oh.
though through the pandemic is
Mm.
there was a shortage of flowers.
Oh,
Um,
oh.
yeah, and that pushed boundaries for me because
Mm.
I had my routine on what I like
Yeah.
to use seasonally, but it pushed boundaries for me. So I was forced to explore new flowers I kind of poo-pooed.
I love that. But isn't that really indicative of our lives, isn't it? Through this
Mm,
whole COVID time, is
yeah,
that, we're forced to how our mindset is to look at things either positively or negatively or
yeah,
push boundaries to say,
yeah,
okay, how can I look at this and how can I also, as a business owner, make sure that I can, especially in the floral industry, I heard, I know BC is a little different than Ontario, but we shut down. We had to pivot. We had to move. And I know some of my friends were actually former floral owners as well. They owned their own florist locations, and they had to go online. They had to completely take all their product, take their flowers, and move into their homes.
yeah,
Is that
yeah.
what happened to you? And so you had to pivot, just like a lot of other people throughout COVID.
Yeah, my pivot was pretty harsh. Like I
Yeah.
lost about 80% of my income in 48
Wow.
hours because I was an event
Wow.
florist and a wedding florist, and all that stopped. So I had a website, but I did not have an online store. So my pivot was the online store, which
Oof.
it's not a quick fix, but the thing that really saved me was subscriptions, flower subscriptions, because people were at home. Yeah, they were at home and they wanted flowers in their home. They were paying more attention to their home and their environment. And that's
finding ways to pivot so that you can look at your business not only to survive, but then to thrive. And for me, it really speaks about leadership itself, isn't it? You know, we're faced with different barriers, different, you know, situations that come into our business, that some are foreseen, some are unseen, and we have to have a moment to stop, reflect, and then what do I do? So was there any elements of looking at strategic, you know, working with different people? You talked about a subscription. I think that's great for recurring income, for making it easy for people to access your services. What would be like your kind of key, let's say 1 or 2 kind of takeaways or tips that you have for maybe new people who are just starting out in their business, or even in the floral industry, because many people want to get into this industry? What have you found through this last, you know, little bit, kind of your successes, maybe 1 or 2 tips that you've learned from this experience?
Yeah, absolutely. Number 1 is collaboration, for sure. Yeah. So collaborating with, you know, local artisans and artists, and partnering up with them in the store, and, you know, selling their goods, and putting, you know, gift boxes together. So birthday boxes and things like that. Yeah, that you want to help your fellow artisans as well, small business owners. We were all struggling.
I love that, because I remember I do a lot with our Tri-Cities Chamber of Commerce, and that's a big thing, because, you know, there's so many beautiful gifts in different seasons, different celebrations that you can partner with in order to promote not only your business, but you're giving value, because the gift for me, of a beautiful arrangement is just, it's so, like you said, it's very heartfelt. So for me, a lot of this is love and joy. What is the greatest thing, like in all of your experiences for the last 20 years, what is giving you the most joy in being in this industry? I know it's hard to kind of summarize it, but what would be your, you know, that number 1 thing perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, my industry is pretty deceiving, because it's actually super high labor. And time consuming. You know, sometimes we start at 4 a.m. and we go until late at night. And when you have events, you're working long hours as well, but it's very labor intensive. So you really have to be in love with it. You have to be in love with flowers and willing to do that hard work. It's hard work. It's dirty.
Yes. Well,
beautiful.
Hands are in the dirt. Like literally you're creating with your hands. Exactly. And I think that's really a key piece, you know. And one of the things too that I wanted to kind of chat about is building trust. The reason I wanted to bring up trust is because as business owners, trust is a key piece. You know, your people come to you, you know, not always in the happiest place. Maybe it's, you know, someone has passed, or they're trusting you, or even a bride who, again, that's a positive way. They're trusting you to bring this vision forward. What do you think are the most important aspects as a successful business owner and entrepreneur to build that trust that can be taken across any business that, you know, you may want to share with people that would help them as they're moving their business forward?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to have trust with others, clients, friends, whomever, you have to trust yourself. So I had to learn that lesson of trusting myself, trusting my gut, trusting my belief, my passion, and believing in that. And, you know, I'm at a point where I'm not going to work for events and weddings and things. I'm not going to work with a potential client if that trust isn't there, if it's not jiving. If we don't connect.
And it's interesting. How do we build that? I guess that's the thing for me. You know, we're talking about creativity and passion and love and life and all these things, but that trust, it's trust in ourselves, isn't it? Knowing that, okay, this is something I want to do. I'm willing to give of myself. Like you said, it's very time, you know, consuming, to be able to produce something in a loving way. Yeah. It's a calling, and not everybody's able to tap into that calling. And you said you kind of came into it. You had that moment of, aha, this is it. I've got it. And then you persevered you know, very intentionally and with that focus. So, you know, what do you do when those moments when, you know, maybe perhaps, and we all have them, we're not as motivated, maybe through this COVID time where things aren't going so great, but you're like, I gotta persevere. You know, I have to be able to move myself forward. I'm trusting myself. I know I'm building trust with others. What do you do to keep that motivation going? It kind of really lands with a lot of this too.
Yeah, I've never, to be honest, really lost my motivation because I'm just so in love with what I do. There's nothing else I'll do. I have no other skills.
I love it. You have other skills. You're beautiful.
I put everything else aside. But with that being said, you know, you just have to have a really healthy mindset. And you know, when challenges are thrown at you, and things happen, just take a breath, step back, take a breath. It's temporary. It's not permanent. And that's a hard lesson to learn. That took me a lot of years to learn it, but I really learned it once I found my passion. I found that mindset. Yeah.
So I'm bringing this in. So I don't know if anyone saw me last weekend. These are my roses. So one of the things that I find works really, really wonderfully well is to proverbially stop and smell the roses in those moments when, you know, we're not, maybe not in the best space or place or mindset. And just by taking action, we can shift and be able to do that. And one of the greatest things I have found too, Trace, is, I don't know if you can all see this, but, you know, when you look closely at things for the richness within them, it's so amazing what you notice. Like in even just looking at the beautiful flowers, like even behind me, look at the structure. You know, some are so tight, some are looser, some are very frail, some are really hardy. It kind of, to me, represents people. You know, it represents how do we show up. And if we're in those moments where we're feeling too tight, guess what happens? We can repel things. But if we're open and nicely, you know, just being ourselves, the authenticity, guess what happens? We invite more beautiful things. We have greater fragrance. We attract us in the flower world, the dragonflies and the bees and all these things. This is where I'm going with all of this. You know, it really is the truth, isn't it? We can learn and see a lot through flowers, you know, nature, and how we want to show up. So I thank you. Is there anything that's kind of percolating in your beautiful world as we come to the end of I can't believe it's almost half an hour already.
Oh my gosh.
I know. See, it's so much fun. I love get us talking about flowers and life and love and, you know, just finding your purpose. Yeah. That's what I take away from you.
Yeah.
Is that you never lost your passion. For some people, like for me, I was numb, externally focused for 34 years, doing everything else without knowing what my true purpose and calling was. Yeah. But you woke up so beautifully early and said, hey, this is what I want to do. So for me, I want all of the listeners to take the moments today to say, how am I actively listening to my heart? How am I showing up? Am I listening within myself to awaken to that purpose and passion? So I would love to learn as we kind of come to the close of this, what are some last moments, last minute things you like to share? Can we learn how we can tap in and order all your beautiful arrangements, or like tell us how we can connect so that we can support you in everything that you do?
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I just want to go back to you talking about, you know, the combination of flowers, and you compared it to people and connections with people. And it's really, it's, you know, it's being open and accepting and welcoming to the shapes, the different shapes, the different textures, the different colors, the different sizes. And connecting that together. And that's how people connect too, right? We accept and we work together. So yeah.
You get me going down that whole arm. So let's just stay there for a minute, because I think it's really powerful, because we connected on Clubhouse. What a beautiful platform, and so many other people we've connected with, genuinely authentic, beautiful people from all different sizes and shapes and backgrounds. But the interesting part is you don't see the people, you just hear the people. So it's their heart comes through their vocalization of who they are. So I love this, how we're building and talking about inclusivity, aren't we? Diversity, acceptance. Those are all key values, all through the lens of beautiful flowers. So what would be your key values that you kind of live by every day? I'd love to learn that if you're open to share.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, for me, a big one, like I've had adversities in my life. I've had my struggles. And to be honest, the flowers saved me. I was in a deep, dark depression for many years. And, I had just had a baby. I have a son. He's 21 now, but I had just had a baby and I went into deep, dark depression. And really it was, my clients that kept, and I was doing it part-time at that point. It was my clients that kept me going. And when those orders would come in, that's what I got up for, because it was dark. So I just, literally my flowers saved me.
Wow. What a powerful, powerful story. And thank you for sharing that. It's the openness, and even in the dark times, it's looking for that color, that brightness, your purpose, and finding that motivating factor within ourselves to get up, to take that next step. And if for those who are watching this later, if you're having those moments where, you are not in your best, most strongest space, go out, move, shift your perspective, dance, look at flowers, smell the roses, do anything to be in motion, because we know that will help us shift and raise our different neurochemicals and synapses, the firing there, especially in serotonin and dopamine and all these beautiful things in our lovely mind, as I always say, that allows us to feel great. So I really honor and appreciate that you were sharing that about your story, that, flowers saved you. And I have to kind of echo that, throughout my life, the times that I need to ground myself, I always go out at least once a day to look at my flowers, to put my fingers into the beautiful soil. And so when you're out there, for all those who are listening now or later, take time on your walks to touch, to feel, to smell, because that's how we can then connect to the essence of who we are. I'm a spiritual being, Trace, as you know, that I connect. I've gone through my beautiful kind of, I would say, awakening to my faith. And as a conscious leadership coach, I've transformed. I have been elevating my own faith. And so for me, I always connect my heart to my mind, to a higher calling and consciousness. And I do that, especially in some sacred places where there's flowers around. And I did that last weekend. And I just closed my eyes and I smelled and I felt that moment. So if you're having these moments where you're not in that glorious state of wonder, what's good and new, as my beautiful mentor Rex Sykes always says, what is good and new? Go out and do these things. It can literally save your life. You can shift in any moment. That's the key power within us. We don't need to be kept captive by our mind, by our past, or anxious about our future. If we literally just stop and smell the roses or smell the beautiful flowers, we're there. So in any closing comments now, beautiful Trace, about that, anything you want to share from your heart that we haven't talked about? And I want to thank all those who are listening live or listening later, because these are really powerful, heartfelt conversations about beauty that is always around us. So Trace, any last kind of comments, thoughts that your heart is wanting to share?
Yeah, absolutely. Nature is so incredibly healing. I don't think we give it enough attention. Get out there, in nature. I mean, I am now in a position where I literally live 2 kilometers from my little shop. And that was very strategic. So I do my 2 kilometers to work and back home every single day, walking the boardwalk along the beach. Nature is so healing. You know, it's a time to decompress. And I just have such gratitude that flowers were brought to me. I always live in gratitude. It just, honestly, I'm so passionate about it. So passionate and grateful for you too, Sandra.
Oh, I love you too, Trace. I think you're brilliant. And gratitude is that number one antidote. We wake up, it's our perspective. It's our mindset. If we wake up kind of cranky and grumpy, guess what you're going to get? What we think about becomes. We know this through many mentors that, you know, we both follow, and some of the other old masters like Napoleon Hill, or I'm blessed to be able to follow as well with Dennis Waitley. And even in my own personal story, in my leadership journey and working with individuals, this is the key piece, everyone. As we conclude today, you know, take stock, ask yourself again, how am I connecting? Am I connecting to myself? Am I listening? Am I feeling? Am I connecting to my mind, or am I living in my mind and not connected to my heart? And then as you go through the day, reach out, as I always say, to Mother Earth, to the ground, to Mother Earth, really, and feel and sense and bring in that delight, that gratitude for all that is around you. Take baby steps. And then as we grow in leadership, as we're like, you're so busy, you found a way to manage and build balance, wellness, and health. And next time I have you on, Traci, I really want to dive into the important aspects around how flowers can be such wonderful tools to help us with our health medicinally as well. You know, there's so many great things that many of the flowers provide us in terms of our own nutrients. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Traci. And how can people get a hold of you as we conclude? What's your website?
Oh, my website is www.fernshoptoronto.com.
All right, my fellow Canadian, I have absolutely loved this. I feel ignited. I am so thankful. And if you want to learn more about guiding yourself, literally guiding yourself, changing your perspective, getting control of your mind, your emotions as well, to live life in your own way, truly, authentically, and consciously, because this is what Traci has done. She is a conscious leader. She is mindful. She is present. She invites in all this beauty into her life, but she knows how to self-care. And as we build out our teams, as we build out organizations, that is a key piece, self-awareness. So if you want to learn more about that, please visit me at www.sandrahorton.com. No J, just sandrahorton.com. And I'd love to be able to share with you. I'm launching my 6-week program, which will be out in a couple weeks. I'm super excited. I've relaunched it, retooled it. It's going to be exciting. And as well, next Friday, we'll be back with a Leadership Heart podcast. So thank you, Traci, again, for this beautiful opportunity to celebrate with you and to learn from you. Bye for now.